Well, hello there, and welcome to the Dynamic Dual Love Zone. It is a pleasure to be able to serve you in this segment. Today, we're talking about this. Well, we're not talking about, but we are interpreting in our own way the song "Giving You the Best That I Got." That's "Giving You the Best That I Got" by Anita Baker. This song was released in 1988. So our relationship goal is being all in because you deserve the best. So being all in, you deserve the best. Your spouse, your significant other deserves the best. So let's hear what she has to say, and we're going to groove and talk about the song in more detail.
All right.
Ain't there something I can give in exchange for everything you give to me? Read my mind, feel just fine when I think my peace of mind is out of reach. The scales are sometimes unbalanced, and you bear the weight of all that has to be. I hope you see that you can lean on me, and together we can calm the stormy seas. We lie so strong and so unselfishly. And I tell you now that I made a vow, I'm giving you the best that I got, baby. Yes, I tell you now that I made a vow, I'm giving you the best that I got, honey.
I like that. Honey.
Honey, right. All right. So, giving you the best that I got. So, there's so much in this song. Going to enjoy this today. So,
Okay.
she said, is there anything that I can give you in exchange for what you've given to me? So, in a relationship, of course, it is give and it is take. Both of our givers have to be in work in the marriage. And the giver part of you is that person, that part of you that wants what's in the best interest of others. Where the taker side of you wants what's in the best interest of ourselves.
Right.
So in a loving relationship, there's a good balance of giving and taking.
Right. We've talked about that in several songs. So, I mean, you should notice, if we're talking about it in several songs, how crucial that plays in our relationship, especially the conditions of the relationship.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then she said, read my mind and
Make me just feel
make
fine.
me feel just fine when I think my peace of mind is out of reach. So what that speaks to me is, we talked about bids. And bids basically are just attempts by your spouse to get either your attention, your affection, some cheering up, or some support. And in a loving relationship, we are able to turn towards those bids 86% of the time. So that means that I don't need my wife to say, this is what I need. Because I'm intimate with her, because I know who she is, I'm in tune with her, then I can pick up those bids or those clues just through her actions and any passive communication that she has.
Right. So I was just writing that down because I was like, well, he really can't read her mind. But in knowing your spouse, you definitely can pick up on those nonverbals.
Right.
See, we communicate verbally, but there's a lot of times we communicate nonverbal. And so it's like being able to look at your spouse, read them by their countenance. A lot of times, too, I know when it comes to Demetrius and I do a lot of reading. But now, so I don't miss it, because sometimes we can miss it. I'll say, can you interpret that?
Mm-hmm.
Interpret that for me, because I want to make sure that I'm in tune with him. So not only just, responding to his bids, but being in tune with what vibe he's giving off.
Mm-hmm. So how in tune are you with your spouse? And also, when you see those things, how quick are you to act on them? Or do you just disregard them?
It's better to act on.
Right. So the chorus jumps in and she said, we make love so strong and so unselfishly. Now, if you know me, we all want to be pleased and we all want to do some pleasing. But like I said, in a healthy relationship, there is a great balance of give and take in every area, not just in our love making, but in our decision making and our being helpful. All of those things, every area of your relationship requires some type of balance.
That's why you have to make a vow. She said, I'm making a vow. So she's saying, hey, I am going to commit to doing that. But I want to go back because you brought up balance. So when she said sometimes the scales can be unbalanced, then she brought up the storm, but together we can calm a stormy sea. So again, I love it, because if we're talking about being all in and giving you the best, together we're going to be able to weather the storm. Not you weather the storm by yourself, but we're going to weather the storm. And what more of a powerful couple can we be when we stand as one through any obstacles that we obtain?
Yeah. And it's also important to recognize that there are some times in your relationship where you're going to have to carry more of the load, whether it's financial, whether it's in peacemaking in a conversation. So, I think of being my wife. A lot of times I am the peacemaker in our relationship. So I bear the load of restoring our relationship when we have arguments and disagreements. And there are times in a relationship that the husband or the wife may have to carry the lion's share of the weight, whether it's emotional weight, whether it's financial. So giving you the best that I have means that everything that I have in me is for you and for the betterment of our relationship.
Someone is saying, why should I do that? Why should I carry all the load? Well, because if we're talking about giving and if we're talking about reaping and sowing and reaping, then that's why you should, because there's going to be a time where you're going to need your help from your loved one or from your spouse. So it shouldn't be, well, why? It should be at all costs, let me do, especially if we're looking at the success of the relationship. It's not about 50-50. It's 100% on both ends.
I agree. All right, let's move on.
Everybody's got opinions about the way they think our story's gonna end. Some folks feel it's just a superficial thrill. Everybody's gonna have to think again. We laugh so strong and so unselfishly. They don't bother me, so I'm gonna keep on giving you the best that I got. Baby, they don't bother me, so I'm gonna keep on giving you the best that I got. Listen, baby.
Okay.
All right. So, man, we've talked about this, about how people, on the outside try to judge your relationship, based on what they see, good or bad.
But that don't bother me.
Right. Because what I'm hearing her say is, listen, we're going to basically create the boundaries of our relationship, and we're going to be the ones that's going to dictate where we go, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah, I brought this up before about Shirley Glass, but I can do it again. But the windows and the walls, it's like the couple basically create boundaries and parameters within their own walls, and the window that they see is clear. They see each other through transparency and intimacy, where they protect each other from any outside sources that's going to come against the relationship. And that's such an important, vital tool to have in your relationship.
It definitely is.
Yeah, so you can't be
is.
moved by what other people say. Now, we understand that some people, come into our lives to give us good counsel. So we're not saying not to give good counsel, but we are saying to be very careful in how you receive good counsel. And then just being in tune with Holy Spirit, speaking to God, and just knowing what you should do in any given situation.
Yeah, because think about it. How many people have allowed an outside influence, maybe a parent, maybe a best friend, to give you some information that doesn't have your marriage's best interest? They may have your best interest, but it doesn't have your marriage's best interest. So again, putting those parameters, creating that healthy boundary, creating that healthy fence around your marriage.
Yes.
With a heart to, I'm going to give you my best regardless of where we are.
Because I'm all in, baby. It is important.
That's right. That's right.
I want to give you my best.
That's right. All right.
Somebody understands you. Somebody understands me. I stumble my heart and I feel you, my heart is in your arms. Is your all sound of your soul, and I think I wanna sing it forever. We love is so strong and so special, and I made a vow, so I tell you now, I'm giving you the best that I got. Listen, baby, I bet everything on my wedding ring. Giving it to you, baby.
Okay, I'm getting ahead, but I have to say this. Demetra, can I say this? This song, one verse took this song over the top. That's why it was so pivotal in all these marriages and weddings. The wedding song is, I bet everything on my wedding ring. We'll come back to that. But I mean, that just took it over because it reminds us of God's covenant, as far as how he relates to marriage. Marriage is a covenant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll come back to that, but I had to say that because that woo.
Yeah. So, she said, someone understands me.
Yeah.
How good does it feel
To be understood?
to be understood?
Yes.
To be heard, to be validated. That really makes or breaks a lot of relationships because you don't feel heard. And that goes back to the acceptance part of falling in love. If you don't feel accepted by your spouse, then you don't feel love and you don't feel in love with them. So she's saying somebody understands me. And then that lets her know that he or the spouse is giving their heart to him, because that acceptance and feeling accepted helps to create that feeling of love.
You're right, because that's the breeding ground for drifting away. When I don't feel accepted, when I feel unheard, I start drifting away. I start not wanting to feel that connection with you. And we don't want that because that's not healthy in a relationship. No one wants to be in a relationship like that.
Yeah.
So question, do you make your spouse feel heard? Do you understand them? Are you trying to understand them even if you don't?
Yeah. So, basically the rest of those lyrics really talk about security. I've stumbled my whole life
long
on my own, but now I'm home. You know, my weary mind is now rested, and I feel as if my heart is in your arms. To me, that screams security. That screams fulfillment. That screams just being together, being one, commitment.
Absolutely. I'm back to that house. You know, our house is solid if it's us protecting us from predators, but also making us feel secure and safe. So when I'm worried, I know that I can look to you, be open and transparent with you, knowing that you can calm me and that we got this because we're all in.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
in thinking about this, are you giving your spouse your best? You know, because let's be real, when there's pain, when there's a loss of trust, you know, the first thing that goes away is our willingness to give in a relationship. And just understanding that as long as we're committed, our goal, our job, our responsibility is to give our spouse our best.
Absolutely. I mean, I bet everything on my wedding ring, the day when we stood before our friends and our family, we were in our mindset saying, I'm going to give you the best. Mm-hmm. So why should it change now? Yeah, you talk about that pain, you know, but here's the thing about pain. If we look at it from an iceberg and look at what's really the underlying of pain, then with each other, it's going to really help us to deal with the pain so that we can move from pain to feeling more healthy and fulfilled. You know, so it's like, and in doing that, it brings us back to our wedding vows in richer or in poor, in sickness and in health.
Mm-hmm. For better or for worse.
To death do us part.
Yeah. So, we encourage you, if you're not doing it now, look at how you can begin the process of giving your spouse your best.
So that you can be all in.
All right. Well, that's been another episode of the
Dynamic Duo Love Zone. And it's been a pleasure again. And please, we are looking forward to more song requests, comments, share our stuff. And also, we can be followed on our Facebook page. That's Dynamic Marriage St. Louis. And also our YouTube page. Subscribe, please. And our YouTube page is the Dynamic Duo Marriage Doctors. That's the Dynamic Duo Marriage Doctors. And also we have a Christian counseling agency. So if you find yourself not being able to give your best, you know, hey, let us help you out. You know, and so you can reach us on our website, www.cpfsstl.com. That's www.cpfsstl.com.
All right. We will
see you soon.